Continuing with Charlie and Donna Adelson's calls in chronological order, this next call was made immediately after the one in Part 8. They talk about his trial and jury selection. Charlie also talks a lot about Wendy driving near Dan Markell's house about an hour after he was murdered. Take a listen.
Charlie.
Yeah, no worries.
You got both of us.
Yeah, got us both.
All right. Yeah, no, I'm going to be all right.
I know you will, Charlie.
I will, Charlie.
I'm going to be good. I'll be strong. I'll be fine.
Yes. I know you will. This is crappy where you are. This is going to be, it's going to get better as you get the hell out of that room. That doesn't feel a little better.
I'll feel a little better once I get to the other pod and I can move around a little bit.
Right. Right. I know.
Right.
You're stuck in here.
I'm literally like in solitary hell.
You did 5 months already. It's really hard to go back to that. Terrible.
Well, at least then I can look outside my window. This is not like, it doesn't feel like this place is filthy. Like you can't step on the floor. There's piss on the floor. You stick to the floor, there's blood on the walls and shit on the ceiling.
So, as I told you, I told you exactly at 12:05 when Dan texted me what he said. So he's trying, Charlie.
Yeah, no, I know. This Chief Mac, who's like this chief, is the guy in charge of the place. He's supposed to come down and see me.
Who's the one that he said he spoke to? He spoke to the other.
He spoke to Whaley.
Well, that's it. He spoke to him.
Yeah, it's just, it is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
More than a lot.
It is, Charlie.
It's unfathomable. It's unthinkable. It's more than a lot. I mean, it's right. I can't.
It just kills me because I knew that this is what Tallahassee was going to do. I knew exactly, and it's like no matter what your case is, no matter who your lawyers are, no matter what jury consultants you get, you're still dealing with the 911 operators can't coming out for your jury's trial.
Dad actually doesn't know you. He told me the story before about one of the people. She was on the jury, right?
No. We had to use an X to get rid of her. The judge wouldn't release her for cause.
Just wouldn't release her for cause. The mother of the 911.
No, the aunt.
The aunt, right?
Her nephew took the 911 call when Dan was shot. He's the one that's heard on the call during the dispatch. So the aunt came out for jury selection, and we said to the judge, well, we're going to be. What if we're critical of her nephew who's taking the call, and where there's some critique that we have, and that's his aunt, and she's on the jury, and she's listening to us critique her nephew's performance. And she said, well, I could be fair and treat him fair and give him a fair shot and follow the jury's instructions and pursue him to be innocent until proven guilty. And they go, okay, she can follow the rule of law. We can keep her. They can keep her in the pool. The only people who got kicked off for cause were that they said they can't follow the judge's instructions and they can't change their thoughts that they had on the case. Yeah. Like I had the mayor. The mayor was with all these people for 8 hours. They were with the mayor of Tallahassee. He was the last one we brought in. And we asked him if he knew about the case. He said he knew about the case. He thought I was guilty. And he said, there's nothing you can say that would make me change my mind.
There you go.
Okay, you're struck for cause. That gets you struck for cause. But being the aunt of the 911 operator in the trial, you're good to go. Not struck for cause.
Right.
So you had to use one of your strikes on her. It wouldn't take
No, I had to use my strike on her. I mean, how much closer to the case can you get?
No.
And then you got the guy who knows all about the case, who was a lieutenant, and he was with the Miami-Dade Police, 24-year arson investigator, know-it-all, who knows everything. He's told us he had a photographic memory. Duman asked him a couple questions. He said the guy didn't know what he was talking about. Later, he asked specific questions about stuff. The guy knew all about the case, but he said he could be fair and be impartial. But you got to get this guy off. Like, it was the people that we were using our 10Xs on were people that, like, you could not sit them on your jury. Like, you already knew they were there to convict. It was painfully obvious. But Dan said, listen, I don't know how truthful our jury was when they on the ones we picked. I mean, you only know what they tell you.
Of course.
If they say, I know nothing, it's hard to get the full question.
Yeah.
You know, not to mention, you're going to release all these people's names to the community this week of who sat on the jury. People are going to be curious to just glance at the names, see if I know anybody. That small town mentality. Let me look at the names, see if I know anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I know this person. Well, do you think this person, if they let me go, they want to be getting phone calls from that person? Well, were you crazy?
Yeah.
You know, I think the case that I had this whole long talk with Mom, but I'll make it short. I think the case got dumbed down to Wendy as a TV repairman. She got a TV joke. She got a TV as a gift. The undercover guy is trying to extort you for money. Mom references the TV. You got the TV coincidence that it's unbelievable that TV came up that many times. On the day of the murder, TV getting repaired. That's her alibi. Then the other thing that's unshakable is what Kappelman said. She just couldn't help herself. She had to drive to the scene of the crime, have her way on the liquor store. The regional liquor store is closer and shows up an hour after everything was done because she just couldn't help herself. Well, if it's true and Wendy showed up because she knew something was going to happen, then I'm guilty. Without a doubt. If you want to say it's a coincidence, then you can excuse that with the word coincidence. But like the things line up, they line up. So you have an explanation, or you just say it's a coincidence. But you can't use the word coincidence too many times before someone says, do you think I'm stupid? Like how often do you want to say the word coincidence before you tell me I'm stupid? Or think I'm stupid, or take me for stupid. Then you got all these other people piling on who have motives. Every other person running their mouth has a fucking motive. They all have motives up there. Even my best friend Ryan Fitzpatrick said this. Okay, I didn't even know the guy at 14. I had 2 text messages with him. Doesn't matter. She said he's my best friend. He must be my best friend. So like, you could boil the whole case down to what the fuck's Wendy doing at his house an hour after he gets shot. That's the whole case. If it's a coincidence, I could be innocent. If it's not a coincidence, I have to be guilty.
Well, not just you. If you're guilty, Wendy's guilty.
Well, of course. Yeah, she has prior knowledge.
That's what she was saying.
She's showing up. Right. I mean, she basically called her out on it. Like, she couldn't help but go see. Well, that's like saying that she was a part of it. She couldn't help herself. Wasn't that what happened?
That's exactly what she said.
So she's giving a logical, simple explanation to a simple act. She showed up because she knew something was going to happen. Why else would she? What else are the chances of Wendy leaving her house 7 miles away, looking to drive down any street on that date, at that time, an hour after everything happened, for one reason only, and it's to go buy a bottle of liquor? Well, there no liquor stores close to her house? Yeah, they mapped out like 3 or 4 or 5 of them. Was that the most direct route to the liquor store? It was the route she knew how to go, but it wasn't the most direct route. So it's not the most direct route. It passes 3 other liquor stores that are way closer. And she's looking to drive down that street on that time, on that day. I said to Mom that, I said, what are the chances of that? Like 1 in 10,000 or more?
More. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy, but but it happens.
Yeah. But then what happens is then they fill it in with all the chicken shit that they're trying to make chicken salad out of, where they throw in, we've got emails, we've got angry emails, we've got this, we've got that. Like, me saying I didn't just say I got 1 reason for you not to buy a house. I said I got 5 reasons for you not to buy a house. But like, you've got you put everything together, and you got Wendy showing up at the crime scene an hour after it happened and trying to drive past the house. Like, it has to be either she knew about it or it's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah.
And if you look that she knew about it, then you got her no guilty. I think it literally got dumbed down to like block everything else that Dan said. Everything Dan said was just an excuse at that point. It was, you think that she drove by the house because she knew, or she drove by the house because it was a coincidence at that time. One is it. Which one is it?
Yeah.
That day, that time, that location, with a very poor reason, to be honest with you. I mean, the logical reason is if you're going to a liquor store, there's three or four of them that are closer. If you're going to go to that liquor store, there's a more direct route to go to that liquor store. You went out of your way to go to that liquor store. So if you're going from A to B, why take a detour past his house on that date, on that time? So I think the whole case, honestly, got dumbed down. Do I want to believe it's a 1 to 10,000? I think you can honestly dumb it down to, do I want to believe there's a 1 in 10,000 chance, or she had prior knowledge? If you say she had to have had prior knowledge, is the possibility. Yeah, the reason she didn't want to go to the other liquor stores really never came out. The reason that she gave that she took a more out of the way route to that liquor store really never came out. The fact is, she was planning on traveling down this street on that date at that time. One of two reasons. Either knew or didn't know. And if you knew, you got to put everything out the window and be like, I don't even listen to anything else. I'm guilty. She knew something was going to happen. That's simple. And that's why such a big deal was made about Wendy's travel route that day.
Yeah.
That was a big piece of evidence.
Yeah, you know.
That was a big piece of evidence, and the TV was a big piece of evidence. And not for me making a joke, but just
the repair.
The repair being done that day, and when the undercover comes to you that day, everything's always revolving around the TV set. Do I want to believe that was a coincidence? Two big coincidences? Like, I could have bought her anything else but a fucking move out. I could have bought her a blender. I could have bought her a sofa. Bought her a rug. Like, that one object that keeps coming up. Gotta be code something, otherwise why would we keep referencing it? I swear to God, I really truly believe that you look at those, can you hear me okay? Hello?
No, we're here, honey. I'm listening to you. I mean, I get it.
There's pain and itself back and forth, but I really truly believe that if you look at the coincidence of traveling on that date, that time, you listen to her reasons, they don't really hold that much water for, they don't sound logical when you say there was 3 or 4 more liquor stores, when you say that there's a more direct route to that liquor store, reasoning starts to kind of sound a little soft. And then you add it up with the TV and how and when it came into conversations, and all of a sudden you're like, it's either both coincidences or she knows and that's why she's there, and he knows and that's why she's talking about TV. We solved the case. Like, I really do believe that's what it came down to. After that, I think they could block everything out of the house. They have her map, they have her days, they have her times, they have the TV code. To me, I bring that in the room over and over and over and over again. Like, that was in the opening and that was in the closing.
Yeah.
And the only way you can explain something is this big coincidence, but 2 big coincidences, one big coincidence is hard to swallow. 2 big coincidences surrounding the case starts making you say, like, how many coincidences are you allowed?
Yeah, no, we talked about that before. It's like too many. How is it possible? Just impossible.
Yeah, I mean, your house is literally 300 feet from the turnpike. Like,
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, certain things are like, Jesus, like.
I don't think that was it. I think the things you mentioned are what they dummied it down to, because that's easy.
Okay.
You know, that's easy to remember.
When you need to think about it, you think, is there any way, like, what are the chances of her showing up? Like, listen, she showed up and she knew that it was all set up. What are the chances of her showing up randomly? I would say 1 in 10,000. You know, because of the timing and the
No, of course.
In the thousands, 1 in 10,000. So on that date, okay, so you're saying it's a coincidence, and George Kaplan's going, she just couldn't help herself. She knew why she showed up. She couldn't help herself. What sounds like a more logical explanation?
Yeah.
Common sense. Dan is trying to explain something away that's a 1 in 10,000 chance. And you know what happens? You start having to explain things. Eventually it sounds like you're just making excuses.
Yeah.
So instead of being able to explain the other stuff, which is the meat and potatoes of the case, we're having to fight. What the fuck is Lindsay doing there on that day and that time? If she knew, you got to bring her guilty. You use common sense. I really think it's, honestly, I hate to say it, but I think instead of being able to focus on meat and potatoes, it got the crazy coincidences, and then the batshit crazy, you know, emails going back and forth. And then it sets the stage for, like, them showing autopsy photos. And it's just a tough to do.
It's how she, it's not even so much sum it up, it's how she sloughed over everything and made it so simple at the end. So simple. You know?
Well, was it cool? Listen, I mean, I'm putting myself in the juror's position. If you're telling me that she showed up there and I'm hearing the excuses of why she showed up, it's kind of feeling a little like I'm being sold something, you know, but I can buy it. Then you're telling me about the TV not being a total coincidence. Okay. And now you got all this other stuff you're trying to kind of like you almost, you know, there's too many coincidences on things involving technically involved around the case are very hard to explain away other than saying that was just a fucking coincidence.
Yeah.
That was a 1 in 10,000. That was a 1 in 10. By the way, that's why people think well he's guilty.
What? I didn't hear that.
That's why people think Wendy's guilty is what the fuck was she doing showing up at the scene.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I understand that. And now that you're guilty, she's guilty.
Well, if she showed up at that scene, it's because she had prior knowledge.
Right.
If she had prior knowledge, then she's guilty and I'm guilty.
Right.
Like, you can't explain things other than coincidences, you know? It's like, you know, that sometimes you can prove things are just coincidence. I remember one time I was saying to Dave Coffee, like, oh, we got to get together soon, man. It's been years or whatever. And I was talking to him, I think I was walking the dog. And then the next day I was flying out to Vegas. I didn't tell him I was flying out to Vegas. He didn't tell me he was flying out to Vegas. The next day I remember walking around the pool going to put my, look for a chair at the Wynn, the Wynn Hotel. And they've got 2 pools. And I'm walking around the pool trying to get a chair. Literally, like, you know, people are laying in a pool, they're laying face down or turned to the side. You can walk right by them. It's not like I'm really looking at people. I start walking around the pool. I'm out there for 4 minutes. I walk right into him.
I know. That was the craziest coincidence, right? You just had
spoken to the night before, said, we got to get together soon, and then do all. I didn't tell him I was going to Vegas. He didn't tell me he was going to Vegas. And there's a pool, and I happened to be out there early. It was like 10 in the morning. And I went for a lap around the pool just to see what it looked like and just walk around. Walk straight into it. I mean, how many hotels are there in Vegas? How many pools are there? how easy it is to stay at the same hotel and not run into somebody. He's in San Diego, I'm in Fort Lauderdale. The next day, we'll have a drink.
I know. Coincidence.
That's a coincidence. And everybody's like, that kind of stuff. But then when you look into it, you can see, like, when did he buy his ticket? When did you buy your ticket? Were you communicating with them around the same time? Was there, who was he planning on going with, or was I planning to go with? Do people know each other? Like, that's why they go into you calling Wendy and talking to her that morning about confirming her TV appointment.
Yeah.
Like, that's why there was so much time spent on it. I mean, I'm replaying everything in my head, but, like, that wasn't for any other reason but to show, look, you're calling her and talking to her first thing in the morning. I'm talking to her. Like, I'm in the car for an hour and a half while I'm working Jupiter. Oh, my God. But by the way, whatever happened when that person looked at Tortuga and said, right,
No.
What's that?
No, and he had another showing the other day. He asked if anyone read it at Tortuga.
No.
No. What did he say? It was too much?
No, I think, I don't know that one.
Oh, there was
the
another
other one that wanted to.
No, there was another one after that. He showed it a couple of times this week.
Shannon says to me, she's like, oh, what's going on with Tortuga? She said, I see it you're taking off the market. And I'm like, I got no idea.
No, I don't know who. I don't know who said that. Who said that?
Janet said it was taken off the market.
No, it's not.
Who said that?
Janice. No,
Oh.
the sign is outside. I talk to him almost every other day. Absolutely not. It's not the case.
Okay.
I don't know why she.
And, yeah, maybe a realtor site. Maybe they didn't have it on the same realtor site, or maybe you should look at it realty.com, or I don't know. They look pretty well.
Yeah. No, that's why, Dan, I keep thinking it's November. What's taking so long? I mean, we thought September, we thought October. I'm shocked, actually.
But I'm not shocked when there's an 8% interest rate. The house it costs more now than it did before.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the people who aren't taking out loans are still like those really expensive homes where people aren't taking out loans when they're millions and millions of like $5-6 million homes. I think they're not taking out loans, but I think the homes where people take out loans get affected drastically when the 30-year mortgage is 8%.
No, I agree.
Because people who buy an $800,000 home, the people who put $300 down and take a loan out for $500, put $200, they put $200 down and take a loan out for $600. But and then it affects it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, I would see what you can do about renting it, maybe. Like, but if you sell it, I guess it's not.
Yeah, that's
For me,
fine.
it's more.
I know.
It's more of a kind of. That place was big. Like, I know it wasn't fancy. I know it was like I walked in and it was like it was home. And I think mentally for the last year and a half, like I've been walking into that house in my head, like envisioning coming home there.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it's all, I just feel like I was con, to get quite honest with you. Like, when you know better and then you make a mistake, you feel like you're like, it's one thing if you do something and you're like, this is what I think is the right thing to do, and then it doesn't work out. That's traveling your gut. Another thing when your gut tells you something, and then you go, you know the decision you should make, your gut tells you something, and then you get talked into something other than your gut, and then it turns out not to be the best thing. Then you get even more mad at yourself because you're like, I fucking knew better.
Right.
Like I knew exactly. Like I was able to articulate it. I was able to express it. I knew, like every step of the way, what things would look like. I literally, and I did because I told you.
No, I know you told me.
And I'm not talking about one thing in particular. I'm just saying lots of things. Like,
right.
I knew ahead of time. I knew I could see how things would turn out. I could see how 3 would be moving to North Carolina. Like, I could see things. I felt things. Like, I could feel it in my bones. Like, I saw things, I felt things, I knew things. I made observations. I made comments about it. I spoke about it. And then the next question is, okay, so what do you do with all that great gut feeling, Charlie? And then it's like, that's where I spiral. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do what you mean.
You know, I just, like, who the fuck is somebody to tell me better than what I know?
Yeah.
Like, I could say, you want to believe, you want to go with the flow, you want to hope. Like, what the fuck do those words mean now? You know, at the end of the day, I'm the one that's like, it's not sitting on my dinner plate. It's nobody else's dinner plate.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
I just know it could have been different. A lot of things could be different. Not just, I'm not talking about just one thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A ton of things so fucking different. And I really could have, like, you know, would things have been ideal? No. But they sure as fuck would have been different.
Yeah, they would have been different.
And by the way, I'm not just speaking about one thing in particular. So
I know.
anybody listening, I'm talking about multiple.
Yeah.
Just one thing, not just 2 things, not just 3 things. But I'm just too smart, and I have too good of a gut. And I have the same shit with Enzo. He was the same shit. It was me knowing better and me casting it away to somebody else's hands that the expert that knows better. Like, that has a vested interest. You know, that has a benefit. Definitely has a benefit to them. Like, don't make no mistake about it. Like, there's a benefit to that. There's a benefit to other people along the way that have given me advice. I know they meant well, but I also know, like, that advice was also beneficial to them. You know what I mean?
I do.
You know, when someone's advice to you ends with an opportunity for them, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
That's right.
If there is, even though they care about you, and even though they're, you know, even though they really are good people, they really do care about you, whatever you want to say.
Right.
However they want to dress it up, like, there is a benefit to them, and that can't be denied. Huge benefit.
No, of course not.
More than others. You know, whether it's financial or whether it's, being recognition or whatever it is, you know, there is a benefit, and they would commit too. So then you can't say there was no benefit. It's like if you feel something in your gut, and you know something, and you're so sure on it, and you're articulate on it, just move on.
Yeah.
You know? Move on. Okay.
You've always said that, go with your gut.
Yeah. Go with your gut, move on. Like, don't be impulsive. You know? But if you can really rationalize it, if you can really talk about it, if you can really think it through, you're able to articulate good reasons behind it, pros and cons, like be smart. Don't be in denial. You know, like, especially when it's like, especially your gut tells you something. I don't know how to say it. Like, I mean,
I know what you're saying. I know exactly. You don't have to say it. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. I just sit here and like, not a chance. I've been wrong. You could bring Josh Dubin down next week, and you could bring Dan out here next week, and I mean, you didn't have one. This wasn't a hung jury. You didn't have fucking one. One would have gotten us a hung jury. a fiery debate in the fact that it at least had us waiting longer. There wasn't one.
Not one.
That means there wasn't one. Like, it's not a case where it's like they got it wrong. I wasn't there. I could prove, that I was in LA when they said I was here, and there's a big mix-up, and you come back on appeal. This is the evidence when they show up. This is the evidence of the TV show. This is the evidence, the emails. The text messages where they're saying I'm dating someone 4 months after I'm dating them, and I'm not. Like, this is all thrown into a Tallahassee courtroom. There was no way that you were going to get 12 unanimous for you. You couldn't get one for you that was in the ground. Not one. And that's with Dan hitting up the home run. That's with my testimony being flawless.
Yeah.
That's with witness after witness and getting more than he thought he'd get out of it. He got Luis Rivera to admit that it could have been an extortion. Like, that right there should have been like,
yeah.
You may not even have to testify. That's reasonable doubt right there.
Right there. I know.
That's enough. But it got dumbed down to when he couldn't help herself to show up. And if that is true, then I have to be guilty. And if I was sitting on a jury and someone praised it to me like that, and they gave the reasons of the labor of liquor stores or crowd or time, and all the little things you want to explain in a way, it was either she knew about it or we're very mistaken. And if she knew about it, how she was. Take everything else off the table.
Yeah.
That's 1 in 10,000. So you're going to tell me 1 in 10,000 is the chance? You're basically telling me I got a 9,999 times I'm going to be right when I answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
Or 1 in 10,000, that's the number. It's going to say, you know what? This is a chance. I have no idea. That's just a crazy chance. And well, think about it. You got a 1 in 10,000 chance of truly being innocent if you're looking at it like that. That's why that was a big deal made about in the opening. That's the reason why it was a big deal made about it in the closing, because that's your 1 in 10,000 chance that it was a coincidence with a couple more explanations. Like, if you knew about it, if you believe she knew about it, and that's why she's there, and you can deal beyond a reasonable doubt, sure, that that's why she was there, then you got to go. I honestly think it got dumbed down, stuff like that.
It did. I mean, you're right.
And I hate to say it, but I put myself and her in a juror's position.
It's
and I think I'd be smart enough.
Yeah, it's how it's presented.
It's presented like she couldn't help herself. But then you got all these other people who have motives, and of course they're going to throw shit at the wall.
Right.
So you got the shit getting thrown on the wall, and then you got the 1 in 10,000 chance. She shows up at the fucking crime scene an hour after, specifically by chance, 7 miles out of the way. Like, it says like, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining.
Yeah.
Right?
I do.
That's when people hear shit like that, and they say that.
Yeah.
What's the truth? Combine that with all the other stuff that you got, and you just. I mean, if I was working in Fort Lauderdale, started at 8:30, they weren't take one of those calls. That morning.
There might be what? I didn't hear that.
There would be almost none of those calls that morning.
Oh, right.
In the car for an hour and a half. If they had a text message of me and Katie fighting, where I called her apologizing for calling her a bitch the day before, so that just means that we were fighting. That's all it means.
Mm.
Wendy's showing up at the crime scene an hour after it happens by chance. after she talks to her mom and her brother that morning. She couldn't help herself. Kaplan gave the facts and gave a logical explanation that I guess 99 out of 100 times you'd have to say that would have to be the case. I don't buy Wendy's answer of going to a liquor, passing 4 closer liquor stores. Why didn't you just take a more direct route? She passes 4 liquor stores and takes an indirect route to go to a liquor store further away so she could drive out of the house an hour after it happened. I mean, it's 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000 she's telling the truth. And you can, when they say like beyond a reasonable doubt, if she showed up on purpose at that place at that time, then he's guilty. That's almost like corroborating evidence. I really think that's how they speak. I really think that's how someone can easily look at everything, come up with that very hard to explain fact, and then say, stop telling me I'm stupid and you're so smart. You'll write another book. By the way, every time you tell someone it's a coincidence to give them a shitty explanation, people always feel like you're.
That's the thing. 2008, I know.
What? Who didn't say that?
What?
She didn't say 2000.
No, she didn't say 2008. I know, but I know.
What, the book?
Yeah.
Oh, that's because she's okay, here's your answer. Because she said she's wanted to believe ever since she got there. She never liked it there.
Yeah, they were
she felt that way from her side. I mean, that's even more reason. She's been playing this forever. She's always wanted to leave since 2008. The story's modeled after her and her family, and the professor teaches at the University of North Florida, University of North Florida State. She put the word North in front of Florida State. University. What does the husband do? He's a professor. So the husband's a professor at North Florida State. Woman does immigration work. You got 2 boys, and the town is an imaginary town. The town's almost fucking identical to Tallahassee. Good job, Lily. You were foreshadowing. I mean, the small stop on the way to civilization is a place that you never planned on living, that you thought you were a pro. Like, showing up at the scene of the crime? Yeah. That's why it was opened with that, and it was closed with that. Because you got to have a real good explanation for that.
Yeah.
And her explanation was weak.
You know what I mean? When you sum it up, Charlie, that's exactly what it was. She made very, very simple work of it. Very simple. But she avoided any of the things that made common sense, and just went with that.
Yeah. Listen, she got frustrated with me. When I talked to Michael over the weekend, he's like, Appleman got frustrated with you. She was asking question after question after question. She wasn't getting anywhere. She kind of just threw her hands up in the air.
Trust me, she had help over the weekend. Let's put it that way. She didn't just do that.
That PowerPoint was not in place before this weekend, I can tell you. She went through all the monsters that they had in the case. I mean, Dan had 7 puzzle pieces. She had 125. It made it seem like it was so voluminous, pulling out little lines highlighted from a conversation, highlighted line, out of context line.
I don't understand. You can lie and lie. The prosecutor lies. I mean, I've had another, another attorney say to me, but that's what they do. That's just what they do. I said, what do you mean that's what they do? They're prosecutors and critical lies. She said, that's what they do. So they get their point across, and nobody knows the difference unless you really know the difference.
Yeah.
If you don't know the case, you don't know.
You got to know the case.
That's right.
But you got to listen again and present the case. Don't take anything the prosecutor says as evidence in the closing. But Jesus, she goes through 2 hours with you, and she really cares. And she's putting up slide after slide after slide and being like, guys, come on. Wendy can't help herself. She shows up at the crime scene. Like,
Yeah, it really is an attention.
The way she did it.
Yeah.
She couldn't help herself.
Yeah, couldn't help us.
And that's what they heard.
That's
That's just what they heard.
Yeah,
and Wendy didn't say she couldn't help herself.
yeah.
I didn't say she was a threat. I didn't say anything that made me arrogant or that I was untouchable. Those were other adjectives that people like to throw around that, like, once they describe you, who you are.
Listen, they heard you testify there was nothing unlikable or arrogant. It didn't matter if she said you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You feel like you're untouchable. You feel like you're arrogant. You're arrogant. You're untouchable. People say that. Ryan said that you said this. Like, she had a mound of bullshit is what she had. She couldn't debate any facts. So boil it all down to when you show up at the scene of the crime and you don't have a real good reason and you just drove 10 miles, you look guilty. Especially after you spoke to your mom and your brother that one.
Yeah.
After done with your TV repair appointment. Like, it just got dulled down to the point that how do you explain when you're showing up there?
You can't.
Okay, this is the liquor store. Was there liquor stores closer? Yeah, 3 of them were half the distance. Was that the most, okay, but then you go, okay, no, she wanted to go to that one in particular. Was that the most direct route to that liquor store? No, it wasn't even the most direct route. It was a route that she was familiar with. So she was drawn to her marital home for a point of reference to then take the long cut to go to the liquor store that was further from her new house at an hour after that. It's either a coincidence or she didn't stop. She couldn't help herself. Like, if someone described that to you and you were a betting man, I would put this as a long shot at a coincidence, even though that's what it was.
It was.
And I wish to God I really, if I would have appreciated what they could say and then what they would do up here, I felt like, I would have fucking done things different. Let's just put it that way.
I know you.
If I knew what they were going to say and what they were going to, attorneys knew what they were going to say and do. I don't know what they're smoking that they think that they were going to say and do what they did. But my attorneys knew what the fucking evidence was. The attorneys knew what the evidence was, a lot more than I did. Like, for where we are and what the evidence was and how they be able to present it, there's no way, unless they had 12 jurors like number 15, that it could have been anything but a hung jury.
No, it would have been hung.
It would have been hung with him or another one of the alternates. Supposedly, I think there were 2 of them.
2 of them.
Like that.
2 of them.
Yeah. They were the alternates. And who's to say how long they would have held out with the other 11? He might have just said, so does Fieldman, and they just report a hung jury. But those were smart people. These were people who said, listen, she showed up. I don't buy her reasoning. Her mom and her brother are calling her. And this is just way too much of a coincidence for it to be a coincidence. That's it. That's what you had on the jury. It didn't matter what I did on the stand. It didn't matter what Dan said. But one of the guards who was downstairs when I was in the jail cell at the courthouse.
Yeah.
He said to me, it's like
that day?
Anyway, while I was sitting downstairs for 4 hours, I was talking to one of the guards. Well, he stopped by the cell. He was talking to me through the bars. He's like, look, the only way you get out of here is if all 12 people want to say you're innocent. It's got to be unanimous. Otherwise, it's going to be a hung jury. And if it's a hung jury, you got to come back and do it again. And again. And again.
No.
Like, you're only getting out when all 12 say you're innocent. That's the only way you're walking out. And it's like, if I would know that they would, like, I didn't know all the evidence that everybody else knew, the full bullshit evidence. I kind of knew what they thought, but I didn't know all the bullshit evidence that was going to be, that was really going to be the case. And that bullshit evidence existed since day one. They knew the route that she took from day one. But it's like, if I would have known that not like how it was going to be looked at and what the prosecutor was going to be doing and saying, like, I would have done things differently. I didn't. I got talked out of it by people that I thought had my what knowledge and best interest or going to my ass and just thinking positively or very hopeful or you don't have to it's not real with it.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, you can get all this great advice. I'm the one that gets the dinner plate. I think, you know, just like we shouldn't play other people's account issues. You know, it's easy to get on the dinner plate. And I can tell you, I know for a fact that if I would have thought things as rationally as I am now, like kind of looking at both sides and then fully seeing what people in Tallahassee look like that are going to be looking at me, I would know how right I was. I mean, Josh Duden is from Tallahassee.
I thought you said he was from Fort Lauderdale.
He spent 4 years up here at his, 18 to 22.
Yeah.
Those are his, developmental adult years. He wasn't like a teenager that didn't really get a feel for people. Like, the guy was here for 4 years. Like, he knows Tallahassee.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he does.
And you have a consultant to help you get jurors and get people off your jury, and instead we're getting off the 911 operator's end. We're getting off the plane in Texas. I had 5 people on the jury who had law enforcement in their family. 5. I
don't understand how they were allowed to serve. I don't. 5 people with law enforcement in the family, and they're on the jury. How? How did that get through? I don't understand that.
Time law enforcement agencies. There were 3 on the jury who either they worked at Florida State or they had a spouse working at Florida State. And I was wondering if you work at Florida State and you book me innocent, how secure is your job? Your name is going to be released, and everyone in Florida State is going to know that you were on my jury. And those were the name of the guy that worked at the bookstore at Florida State. Think he hates me? The 30-year-old fat guy that looked like he was an inbred that was working in the bookstore at Florida State. Being told him,
Sure. Chad and I looked at each other like, I don't get it. I don't understand. How does this happen? I don't know. You there, honey? Charlie? Charlie? Are you there, Charlie? Charlie? Charlie, are you there? I don't know.
Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and turn notifications on so you don't miss the next one.